Oh my God, it's just such an unbelievable moment.
Brandon, you also told me, as you can hear the chants from the crowd, let's go, Brandon.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome back to By Brandon Jones. We are back. We are doing a review today on two internet famous individuals, Ben and Grace Thorp. Let me get my audio and visual together. Hope everybody is having a good new year. I'm back to making content. One of the things that I've been asked to do by some friends of mine over on the John Gall Urban Landlord channel is to review a book. And this book is tied to two very infamous people on the internet, Ben and Grace Thorp. What's up, HB? 2N. Salute to you, my brother. Happy New Year's. Hopefully you went and got that bottle of tequila that I referred for you to enjoy and indulge in. And if you did, I hope that it has brought nothing but good spirits to your life, sir. All right. So today, what we're going to do, we're not going to spend a ton of time because this will be a series. We're going to cover Ben and Grace Thorp. A family member of theirs wrote a book. Actually, this person is Ben Thorp's mother, apparently. Now, in my research, I haven't been able to confirm this 100%. So we're going to go on the assumption that this is actually Ben Thorp's mother, and this is Grace Thorp's grandmother. So, perfect. I'm glad you got it, HB. I hope it was a delight. He said a little, got a little violent. Hey, it's the holiday season, man. You work hard. You're on the road grinding all the time. If you're going to go violent on something, you might as well do it on something that's going to bring some joy to your life. So I appreciate that. Perfect. All right. So for folks who do not know, because I know my audience, I've been gone for a while. My content is shifting slightly. I'm still going to be doing a lot of personal development, leadership, growth content. However, I will be covering some things that I haven't covered before. So this is going to be a little bit of an introduction to some people and some things that my audience hasn't quite come across. Since in my absence, a lot has changed in my life. I made a community post for folks to kind of get caught up on some of those things. And throughout these changes, throughout these things that have happened in my life, I have been in a few different YouTube communities. I haven't been quite gone. I just haven't been putting out content. I still been around. And in one of these communities, I've come across this group known as the Thorp Sphere. The Thorp Sphere. That's what we're going to call it. That's what people call it online. Locales is kind of connected to this. I'm not going to get into any of that today. If you don't know what this stuff is, you need to start doing some searching on YouTube. These are like complete communities with a lot of different characters and people. And we're going to dive into these spheres. But so in my quest on the internet, one of the things that people have recognized that I can do some psychological analyzing of things from time to time, as I've done on this channel and others that many of you have been connected with me on. So I've been asked to review this book of Ben Thorp and Grace Thorp's family member, which again, Ben Thorp's mother, Grace Thorp's grandmother, apparently, again, haven't been able to confirm this. So we're just going to go off the assumption that this is true. Now, the book is called Confessions, The Tangling and Untangling of Another Preacher's Kid by Christy Stevenson. I think that's how you pronounce the last name. Now, I will say this also, as we get going into this book, this will be a 3-part series. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it today, probably about an hour and a half, just covering the first part. This book is split into 3 parts. It's not a long book. The book's roughly about 100 and so pages. So we're going to cover it in a couple different things, but we're going to look for some patterns on personality, some patterns on abuse, because that shows up early in the book. We're going to look at abandonment. We're going to look at religion, God, and spirituality, and how all those things show up in the lives of people and how that affects how people show up as they get older. For folks who are not familiar with Ben and Grace, let me pull up a photo of these folks so that you know who I'm talking about. And I'll be honest with you, don't be surprised if Ben and Grace pull up. They are known for pulling up in spaces and places. So don't be surprised if they do. If they do, they're more than welcome to. I would love to get some firsthand interactions with their family members, see where that family dynamics like today. Even to the point of, getting their perspective on the book if they've even read it. I honestly don't know if either one of them will appear in this book. I have no idea. I've not read that far. So you're getting this as when I read it, I'm gonna come on stream and talk about it. So I read the first section of it. So I don't. They haven't appeared just yet. The grandmother / mom has only talked about her own childhood thus far in the book. So I read part 1. All right. So as you can see here, we have Grace Thorp. She's a young woman. I think she's about 22, 23 years old, something like that. Infamous on these YouTube streets. You know, a lot of people don't like Grace. I think Grace is actually a pretty intelligent girl. For me, what I've noticed is that she can be a YouTube star. I think that she has the moxie. I think that she has the persona. I think she is very quick on picking up social cues, and that she knows how to code switch very well. These are the things that I've seen. And I'll be honest with you, I haven't watched a ton of Ben and Grace. I can only deal with so much of both of them before I have to tune out and check out something else. But when I have observed both of them, Grace, to me, seems like she has something around personality that can really make her a social media sensation, or I hate to even use this term, but it's the best term out there, a thought leader in her own space. She's got it. She really does. So I give her a lot of credit. She gets a lot of flack. She is very controversial. But I think that as time goes on, you know, she can potentially blow up in these YouTube streets. Now, there's some things in there that in order for that to work for her, she's definitely going to have to like get rid of her dad. Like her dad, I think, is an anchor and he's holding her down. And she needs to set sail so she can strive in these YouTube streets. But she's a dad. I don't know if I think she's a daddy's girl. From what I see, she's a daddy's girl, and she's not loosening up in this in her relationship with her dad. And I think some of that may have to do with some of the speculation behind Grace and her dad. Again, I can't confirm any of this stuff. I don't know, but there is this huge rumor that she has some sort of weird incestual sexual relationship with her father. Whether it's physical or emotional, there's something there that a lot of people talk about, and they kind of play into it even themselves as they are, you know, making content and stream hopping and things of that nature. So again, I'm not sure if that's true. They haven't denied it. I haven't seen it denied. If you've seen it, hit me up with a link so I can disprove that. I don't want to be on the online spreading internet rumors. But if it is true, I mean, that's some sick stuff, and that needs to get figured out. Like, that's disgusting. And we need to get away from all abuse of children, which actually brings up another good point. I think I'm going to go into some studying of these teachers that are engaging themselves in sexual relationships with children, mainly female teachers. There's something going on with these female teachers having sex with these children. And no one talks about it, really. It just comes up on a news channel. Boom, you get your little 3-minute clip, and that person goes to court. And sometimes they get arrested, sometimes they don't. People just move on. But there's some sort of phenomenon going on with teachers sleeping with children, mainly female teachers. And quiet as it's kept, a lot of those students are sleeping with our black boys, but nobody wants to talk about that either. So, but that's a different scenario than what's happening here with Ben and her dad, or with Grace and her dad. So the man obviously is Ben Thorp. This is her father. Very controversial individual. I think he has some level. Yeah, Nene, that is definitely what's happening. Ben Thorp, definitely another controversial individual in these YouTube streets. To me, he gives off this kind of nonchalant, like pseudo philosopher style approach to things. Like I think he has some intelligence. It's funny when I talk about this because I'm thinking about one of my internet friends, Stanley. Shout out to Stanley Cross, who definitely hates Ben. So every time I think about Ben, I think about Stanley. You know, Stanley just hates him. But Ben, to me, he has this ability to put out these like thought-provoking, for lack of a better term, questions and perspectives to rally up people's emotions and spark dialogue. And I think that is a talent. That's something that he can do. Now, what he does with it is not anything really. Pseudo philosopher. That's what I would pronounce. Because he puts out these things that make you think, but at the same time, like, it doesn't get anywhere. It just turns into an argument. Then people are being called names, and there's no point in the conversation after a while. But of course, when people don't have good emotional intelligence, they find themselves in a verbal battle with Ben, which I think he likes. I think he likes to, ruffle people's feathers and get people going. But, some people just fall victim to that when it comes to Ben Thorp. So again, we have Ben, we have Grace. These are the two YouTube sensations. Obviously, I did not tag them or their channel because I don't want them blowing it up just yet. I want to get through this book. Then we can start tagging and getting into all the verbal fights later. I ain't got time for that shit today. So Ben and Grace, and apparently this book, Confessions, The Tangling and Untangling of Another Preacher's Kid, a memoir by Christy Stevenson, is their grandmother. So we're going to get into that. So how I'm going to do this is I'm going to share some screenshots I took from the book. I tried to find an actual PDF copy of this book. I was unsuccessful. If anybody has one, please send it my way. It'll make this review a lot cleaner, a lot easier. But for now, we're just going to use some straight up pictures from a cell phone in order to cover this book. This is the cover of the book, Confessions, again, The Tangling and Untangling of Another Preacher's Kid, a memoir by Christy Stevenson. Now, the book opens pretty interesting. Christy, we're going to call her Christy for now. And she's not a Thorp. That's another interesting piece of this puzzle as well. But Christy has some pretty interesting thoughts to open the book, and I'm trying to figure out the best way to cover this. So let me back up. So in the book, again, the book is split up in 3 parts. We're going to cover each part in this series. And by the end of this, hopefully we'll gather enough information to figure out what is the connection point between Ben, Grace, and Christy. So again, the first part is amusing anxiety. Part 2 is the desperate search for consolation. Consolation. And then part 3 is the endless process of recovery begins. And this book is about, really overcoming. It's really a book about overcoming from what I understand. So I'm going to read here this opening short about the book. So Confessions is a selection of short stories from the author's lifetime of difficulty and consequential experiences, starting in the north of Norway with a brutal introduction to God, followed by a variety of unacceptable I think that this was a weird word, anthropocentric interceptions or interpretations of the Bible, anthropocentric interpretations of the Bible. Christy Stevenson often uses humor as she describes her problems with anxiety and her endless attempts to becoming perfect, quote unquote, which is interesting, right? This concept of perfection. We know that in God's eyes, nobody's perfect, but why does she battle with this focus of becoming perfect? And this is important, and I hope that this comes up several times, because I wonder if she is Ben's mother, did this show up in her parenting of her child? And if it has, does that show up in his parenting of his children? And that's an interesting kind of line point, because the interactions that you'll find between Grace and Ben online, he's always critiquing her and what she should be doing and how she should do things and how she should say things, how should she approach things. Like he's like a puppet master and a critic to everything she does. And there's another angle to this that you'll see, and maybe I'll get some clips too. Maybe I'll have some of my internet friends help me gather some clips of these two. But you'll see Grace in these moments where she's like doing these things to appease her father. And it's a really, really, really fucking weird dynamic. It's really weird where she's doing these things to like, almost like his wife. It's bizarre. It's bizarre behavior. Not saying that all wives need to be submissive, but you don't typically see a daughter doing the things that you'll see Grace do, or even how she approaches him. And there's been moments where I've seen clips of Grace where she's crying because how her dad made her feel, or he's talking down to her. It's a really weird thing. And I don't know if it has anything to do with this striving for perfection or to be perfect. But is that a lineage thing that started with Grace's grandmother, and did that impact her parenting? And is that something that rubbed off on Ben? And is that something that we see with Grace? That's something for us to pay attention to as we go through the book. So through her many returns to school, studying psychology, religion, and philosophy, she finally found the very modest but sufficient knowledge we may be given about ourselves and God. She has dedicated her book to her 6 children, Ben being one of them, whose constant emergencies, quote unquote, force her to let go of her impossible hope for perfection, which kept her waiting instead of creating. All artwork is made from the author. And there's some artwork in here. Maybe that'd be a part 4 where I'll take some snapshots of the artwork. She does talk about the art. I don't have any of those clips today because I just wanted to highlight some specific points. But maybe we'll do an overview of Grandma Thorp and her artwork. All right, here's the prologue. So as far back as I can remember, I've always been both energized and arrested by intense feelings of anxiety. That is an amazing sentence, by the way. Like, think about this. As far back as I can remember, I've always been both energized and arrested by feelings of anxiety. So you hear this complication already in this woman's life where anxiety shows up, that it's energizing, but yet it's like holding her back, right? It's arresting who she is and how she develops as a person. Like, she just opens with like a crazy ass. That's a really well, I mean, the visual on that is amazing. But what I know about anxiety, everyone has anxiety. Let me be very clear. Everyone gets anxious from time to time, but everybody doesn't have an anxiety disorder. It doesn't have to be a mental health disorder for everyone. Anxiety is just a part of the human condition. It becomes problematic. Anxiety becomes problematic or it gets to the level of a mental health diagnosis or a mental health issue when your anxiety overrides your ability to cope. So ultimately what ends up happening is you struggle to get done the things you need to do or the things you want to do because anxiety holds you back. So a lot of people will have moments in their life where that may happen, but people who struggle with like generalized anxiety disorder or another version of anxiety disorder, it's a consistent thing, almost daily, sometimes multiple times a week, where that shows up. So if you're somebody who struggles with anxiety, but you've never been clinically diagnosed, and you notice that it's hard for you to do the things you need to do, grooming, taking a bath, brushing your teeth, eating, you need to eat, sometimes going to places and locations. I know in this world where we have everything convenient with apps and things that we can kind of move around and get around pretty easily. But if you are someone who just can't do your basic day-to-day because of anxiety, or you notice that it's hard to do those things, you might want to talk to a professional, get an actual clinical diagnosis. And honestly, one of the best things to do when you have anxiety that's at a mental health level or a clinical level is get on medication. It does help. It definitely does help. But if you have panic attacks, if you find yourself getting very nervous or worried, let's say you go into like a gas station or a bank or the grocery store, or maybe you're on an elevator and you start sweating or shaking or something like that, chances are you have an actual clinical mental health issue around anxiety. So that's the opening sentence. These sensations were not due to my imagination alone. We all come to know quite early that life does not only provide wonderful opportunities, disasters may also strike at any moment. I have never been able to take for granted that I would survive the next day or even the next hour. I knew the awful truth that the terrible incident, even death, could be waiting for anyone in the next corner, around the next corner. I had also been very afraid of causing or being blamed for other person's feelings of anger or sorrow. Somehow, I must have learned the art of compartmentalization, which made it possible for me to still experience some of the tiny moments of happiness here and there. Now, that's interesting as well, right? So she's realizing at a very early age that she's had to learn how to compartmentalize things in order for her to get through her day-to-day. Now, most people compartmentalize things in order to have different understandings or hold multiple different levels of information at one time. Sometimes you may compartmentalize to compare multiple things together. Like one of the things I try to do when I compartmentalize is I'll take a concept that may not be truly related to something, but see, does this connect or relate to this thing? So like, let's use leadership for an example. You know, I may learn something about farming or learn something about cars or something, anything. And I'll say, okay, how does that pertain to my life? Or how does that pertain to me being a leader, running an organization, leading a team, a group of people to do something. That's one way to compartmentalize things, is like taking two different sets of information and kind of comparing them, or taking two different sets of information and kind of holding them in their spaces. Compartmentalizing is also hard for some people. Some people can't do it. Like they can only be mono-focused. And for a lot of folks who have high levels of anxiety, that's what they need to do. They don't need to be compartmentalizing anything. They need to be focused, because then they end up having ADHD issues and other stuff like that. They can't zone in on certain things. So it's interesting that she's realized, as she reflects back in her life, that compartmentalizing has helped her to like manage her anxiety, which is pretty good technique and pretty good awareness on her own part. All right, continuing on. It has always been difficult for me to trust what I cannot understand. Obviously, no one understands anything fully. Still, I was always very eager to understand, especially ideas having to do with human nature and God's nature. As a young daughter of a preacher, I learned that the physical world around us was already doomed, and therefore not worthy of any attention. I discovered early that very efficient, quote unquote, efficient human beings still appear to rely heavily on their limited knowledge of the physical world around them. They also seem to apply this limited understanding to the ways that they saw themselves. Hold on one second. Themselves, others, and life in general. This kind of worldview seemed to keep so many quite relaxed, even bored. Such bored persons even attempted to create artificial excitement or anxiety for themselves by using drugs or participating in other dangerous activities. What were they thinking? Over time, I've become somewhat accustomed to living with my uncontrollable continuous storm of anxiety within me. Although my aching muscles keep telling me a different story. Only on rare occasions, usually with some help, I am able to still a single deep breath or let go of the constant tension in my muscles for a few seconds at a time. So here, she's describing just her battle with anxiety. Like, it's having a physiological impact on her body, which many people with high levels of anxiety, this happens. That's why panic attacks are very common. Rapid heartbeats, sweating, jittering. You can also tell people who have a lot of anxiety, they'll pick at things. They might pick their nails. They might tap. They might pull their hair. They might scratch things. They might do pulling, like they'll pull strings out of their shirts or pants. And just a lot of people with anxiety need sensory things to help them just like regulate that kind of continuous tension. Shout out to one of my friends. I just thought about one of my lady friends who has anxiety and her nail picking. Shout out to her. She might show up in the chat later. All right, so continuing on. Throughout my lifelong struggle with anxiety, I've come to know quite a bit about my subconscious, sometimes unconscious, relentless search for relief or escape from this constant feeling of uncertainty. I've come to discover that this search for relief from painful feelings is a powerful force at work within all of us, expressing itself within endless varieties of unproductive behaviors. Some of these behaviors may even have tragic consequences, both for individuals, their families, and the larger society. And I actually agree with that. That's a pretty profound paragraph there. Let me reread this paragraph. Think about what she's saying here. Throughout my lifelong struggle with anxiety, I've come to know quite a bit about my subconscious and sometimes unconscious relentless search for relief or escape from this constant feeling of uncertainty. So she's talking about just this, anxiety leading to this uncertainty in her life, and how she's starting to understand how this is built into her just subconscious brain. Like, she's not even thinking about it. And how people and herself, we have this search for relief, escape. This is why we do things. People do things all the time to find some level of just discomfort with their discomfort, right? Smoking, drinking, risky sex, as we call it in our business, fast money, gambling, crazy eating. This is one of the reasons why ASMR videos are very, very popular on YouTube, because that actually gives people a level of psychological escape from like thinking, and it's a auditory sensory thing. and people can kind of let go of some of the anxiety. And that's why a lot of people fall asleep to that, because their brains literally channel on somebody else doing something that they might want to they might either could do themselves, or they might just find enjoyment in someone else doing it. Especially people who watch really weird ASMR video. And what I mean by weird is like, you'll see people like scratching their feet and it's like, this is crazy ass stuff. But what it does is it provides a relief of your mind. What she's saying, your subconscious mind, to kind of let go of some of that anxiousness you have, so that you can, your brain can kind of relax. You're focused on something else that someone else is doing, and your brain can relax. And that's how a lot of people fall asleep to those those types of videos. So anyway, continuing on with the paragraph yet again, I've come to discover that this search for relief from painful feelings is a powerful force at work within all of us, expressing itself within endless varieties of unproductive behaviors. Some of these behaviors may even have tragic consequences, both from the individual, their family, and the larger society. And look at this world we're in today. I wonder if she's going to get into being secular and things of that nature. But this is a really good paragraph here where she's focusing in on how society is. She continues, I'm convinced that anxiety and other difficult feelings lie at the root of all kinds of dysfunctional behaviors, which present themselves from our very beginnings. When we start getting bombarded with bewildering prompts from the most unknown, highly mysterious world within us and around us. I 100% agree with her here. That's a fact. That's a whole fact. All right. So that's the prologue. So she starts off pretty strong. And then we're going to get into part one, amusing anxiety. Before I get into that, let me acknowledge some folks in the chat. Shout out to Sam I Am, my guy. Welcome to the channel. Shout out to Garion. Feel free to hop up whenever you want, sir. Just let me know in the chat. I'll drop the link for you. Nini, it's been a while. Hope you are well. Thorps, welcome to the By Brandon Jones channel. Are we already getting bipolar vibes? Not quite yet, but definitely some mental health concerns. Absolutely. I don't know about bipolar just yet, but we will look out for that. Chaos Reigns, my man. How are you doing, sir? By the way, Chaos, are you familiar with Ben Thorp or Grace Thorp? Have you come across their work in these YouTube streets yet? And Chaos, I owe you like 4 shows, man. I know you've been trying to get me on your show for like 6 months. I will get with you, bro. I will get with you. But you go on kind of late, man. But I definitely will get on your show with you at some point. Now, you're not familiar with them. If you want an interesting perspective on these individuals, just type in Ben Thorp or Grace Thorp. There's tons of content on YouTube. Hell, they're Googleable at this point. You can just put it in Google and find them. And then Sam says, I know a lady who always taps and shakes. It becomes annoying. Absolutely. And by the way, Sam, people with anxiety, they don't always realize what they're doing. It's really a calming thing for them until you point it out, and then they have anxiety about people being aware of what they're doing. It's a fascinating thing. But yes, people who are anxious, they do all types of stuff. I just meant that intro sentence had both extremes in it, extreme energy and stillness, arrested yet energized. Yeah, that is kind of bipolar, but I think that really hints at how this woman has grown up and developed over time. Like she has this duality within her life and this complex nature that anxiety has presented to her. And for her to reflect back on her life and understand that, I think she's able to probably connect some dots on why that is. And she may even be able to help some people who have high levels of anxiety deal with that. And I really do hope that as we get into this book, that she starts to make that connection between her how her anxiety shows up in her parenting of her children. Because that's really what I want to see. I want to see the parenting aspect to see if Ben has any of this, and has that trickled on down to Grace. So, but yeah. So shout out to the folks who are watching. We got 7 watching for right now. Shout out to you if you are out there and not in the chat. So we're gonna hop on in to page 1, amusing anxiety, and I think I actually skipped it. Let me double check. No, here we go. All right. So this is actually technically page 3. Page 2 is the artwork. Like I said, we're going to do a special thing on the artwork later. We'll put it all together instead of doing it separate. But you can kind of see here on the side, there's a piece of art here that's in the book, and then she explains what this art is about. So we kick off the book with My Story Begins. My Story Begins. So according to what I've been told, toward the end of May 1943, on a tiny island, I think that's Trenoy, or Trenoy, I think that's how you pronounce that, in the north of Norway, where my father was the pastor of 3 parishes on 3 small islands. My mother became aware of my internet arrival. Her child number 4, so she's the 4th born in she was the fourth born in this family. World War II was going on. German soldiers were still occupying our country and our home. The soldiers had moved in with my family while waiting for new orders. Their guns were lined up against the walls all over a parsonage. It was late at night. Another big rainstorm was approaching. It was dark everywhere. No lights were allowed after dark during the war. My mother, who had almost bled to death every time she had given birth 3 times before, now had to find a way to the only hospital where she could again get help with labor and delivery. In the complete darkness, she had to leave the parsonage and stumble toward a poorly made dock. From there, she had to climb down into a small fishing vessel. This small fishing boat brought my pregnant mother forth out into the ocean through the strong winds and pouring rain. There are large ship. I don't know how to pronounce that word. I think that's where's Staley when I need him? Hertgruten? I don't know what that means. I think that's the type of boat. Was waiting to bring my mother to I think that's Tromsø, the city where the only hospital within reach was located. However, in order for my pregnant mother to get onto the much larger ship, she had to execute another, right? She had to get to another ship. Almost inconceivable task. She had to get from the small fishing vessel that was bouncing between waves onto the waiting enormous ship. Large chains, cranes, and hooks were lowered towards my mother from the dock to the ship above her. While battling labor pains, my mother managed to climb into the huge contraption, which was used to transfer cattle from smaller boats onto ships. On the way towards the waiting ship, still in complete darkness, the wind was swinging my poor pregnant mother in all directions above the roaring sea. Finally, my exhausted mother landed on the dock of the ship, and off we went. Several hours later, we arrived at the hospital. It was a good thing I did not seem to be in a hurry to be born. I was finally pushed into the world several days later. I have sometimes wondered if my mom, extraordinary trials on her way to the hospital, also found their way into my brain. Interesting. At the time when our brains are at the time when we know our brains are most impressionable, which is true. Between the ages of conception to about 5-6 years old, our brains are pretty impressionable, as she uses the term. Honestly, the most impressionable time for the brain is between the ages of 3 and 7. And I can pull up some like graphics to kind of go through this, but your brain synapse connections are at its highest levels of development between the ages of about 3 and 7 years old on average, which means that you're extremely impressionable at that point. Technically, your brain's at its highest level of development during that time. And this is why we encourage people to teach multiple different languages, math, reading, and other things to kids during that age range, because they're most likely to pick it up a lot quicker. Now, retaining it is a whole nother thing. And we know that repetition and engagement is the best way to retain information. So at this time, what we call her Grandma Thorp. What Grandma Thorp is talking about here is, was this, this journey to giving labor, did that impact the actual brain development of herself? It could have. We don't know. I mean, it doesn't sound super traumatic of a birthing story, especially for the time period that they were in. It sounds like a lot of birth was traumatic at that point in time. It's a very different time than where we are today. And as Grandma Thorp said, the first 3 children that the mom had, she almost bled to death. So this probably was an easier birth, even though on the journey sounded more difficult. All right. But I don't know. I never gave birth to anybody. All right. All right. Garion's ready. Let me drop the link for Garion to come on up. Anytime you're ready, Garion. There's a link. All right. We continue on. Another very early experience. So this particular much too early experience was kept secret from me until I was about 40 years old. After my father had died, my older sisters then dared tell me about the beatings that I received from my father's hand when I was a toddler. My sisters, who were then about 13 and 10 years old, had observed this in horror from the opening of the door between bedrooms when both my brother and I were beaten by my father. Abuse. Here we go. We got some abuse happening. The beating took place late at night after we all were in bed and my father had come home tired from his many pastoral duties. Nobody knows, but maybe my mother was instructed to give my father a detailed report regarding his children's behavior throughout the day. That is when he may have found out that his youngest child had behaved in some way that could possibly be interpreted as disobedient. My father would then come upstairs to our bedrooms, wake us up from our sleeps one at a time, pull down our covers, and beat us while loudly ordering not to cry. My sisters had forgotten their own early childhood beatings, just as both my brother and I forgot ours. However, my sisters never forgot what they had observed. Thus, they really experienced a second turn of trauma. This type of trauma is called secondary trauma. It is a thing. It is a thing that's talked about a lot in my circles. Secondary trauma or secondary traumatic stress is when you are hearing or observing observing trauma from another individual. This ultimately is what ends up happening. So this is an actual thing, by the way. Let's see, where was I? Okay. Thus, they really experienced a second turn trauma, though being helpless witnessing their younger siblings' beatings. The latter may have been even more devastating. My mother had also been taught to obey her husband, even if she may have been completely opposed to the beatings. No one ever dared ask any questions about this. We had all learned that I never opposed our father's will in any way. So there we go. So she was getting beat as a toddler. It's interesting here. There's an interesting piece here that makes you think like, well, if Grandma Thorpe's mom, so this is great grandma at this point, if Grandma Thorpe's mother thought that her mom was, or if Grandma Thorp thought that her mom was opposed to the beatings, why would she give a report to her husband to beat the children? Like, why would she do that? Like, if she's opposed to it, just say, the children, they behaved themselves, they weren't disobedient, they didn't deserve to get beat on and things of that nature. So it is what it is. It's just a really fascinating thing to say here. But that's probably the time period. Oh, there we go. We can zoom in a little bit. Maybe that can help you guys as I'm reading to zoom in. I don't know how well that's going to work, but I'll try to zoom in. All right. That's not the page. Hold on. Yeah, this is it. All right. So, P.S. Later, I came to understand that my father was both raised and educated to believe it was his duty as the quote-unquote head of the family, and especially as a preacher, to make sure all of his children learn from their very beginnings to obey all worthy authority. Now that sounds like some Ben Thorp shit right there, because he always talks about he tends to say things in that way. So that's interesting. I believe the father's intentions were good when he therefore did not spare the rod. spare the rod, spare the child, all that good stuff, right? Beating on the kids. However, instead of teaching his children to respect all authority, his brutal method of child rearing seemed to have helped raise 4 extremely anxious children who came to view all others as authority, including the very unworthy. Filled with shame and self-doubt, we came to see ourselves as already convicted, completely unworthy, defenseless, and always alone. And that's powerful. Now she's connecting the beatings that she took as a child to her anxiety. And she's also identifying that her siblings also have this same level of anxiety that she has. And this comes from being beaten by her preacher father, who did not spare the rod. And honestly, kind of low key, the mom is kind of the gateway to these beatings, because if she's not reporting this stuff to the dad, it's not going to happen. So she's low key blaming both parents, but really the dad, who was the punisher in this place, is most of the blame. It is also common knowledge. I see you, Gary. 1 second. It's also common knowledge today that young children naturally tend to assume responsibility when something bad happens within their family. That is common. A lot of kids, because they don't know what to do with those emotions, they will blame themselves for stuff that happened within family dynamics. It's like when you see kids from divorce, a lot of times they will blame themselves to why the parents split up, even though they had nothing to do with it typically. They will still blame themselves for the parent splitting because they don't know how to always fathom or compartmentalize, as we talked about earlier, why their parents are splitting up. So kids do take on a lot of responsibility for family dynamics, even when it has nothing to do with them at all. This is why it's encouraged by counselors and therapists when you have family dynamics where the parents aren't getting along, is don't blame the kids' actions on anything, or don't associate the kids' actions with the other parent. Like you do that just like your father, or you act just like your mom, or you say that looks just something that your mom would do. You're not supposed to do that, because what happens is kids will associate, well, if I do it just like them and you don't like that person, you don't like me. And that happens a lot in family dynamics. So kids do assume a lot of emotional turmoil and emotional things and dynamics that have little to do with them most of the time. Where did I leave off at? Okay, so I'm gonna read this. I'm just gonna start over. So it's also common knowledge today that young children naturally tend to assume responsibility when something bad happens within their families, especially if the parents do not have the knowledge or will to help clarify such devastating misunderstandings of innocent children. So we're getting into the beating. I'm gonna bring Gary in and introduce Gary into my audience. What's up, Gary? And how are you doing, sir?
Question. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yes.
Okay, cool. Do you need me to cam up or
No.
am I good?
No, you're good, sir.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, I did. Shout out to Universal and the rest of his side of the YouTube space. My name's Garion. I was the one, as well as another member of the John Galt channel, who introduced him into this book, and it was also my idea to get his psychoanalysis on it. I did see the screenshots you gave me in the email, and
yes.
I also saw the excuse me. I also saw that you weren't gonna cover a good chunk of the book. I was assuming at first that you would cover a little bit more of the book, because I did read the whole thing already. So I'm just gonna put that in put a pin in that for now. But we can go further into the screenshots when it comes to the introductions with God, like you said.
Yeah. So how about you share? Hold on 1 second.
Wait, you want me to share it?
Well, I was going to say, if you want to dive into another portion of the book, feel free. If it's something that I haven't covered, you can still cover it. That's cool with me.
Oh no, it's fine. I kind of want to keep this orderly so we can do it in 3 parts anyway, because this book is pretty short, so we'll get to it eventually. I don't think it's too. I think doing it the way you set it up is fine. It's completely fine.
Perfect. All right, perfect. All right, give me 1 second. I need to make people mods and stuff. Portia, you're gonna get special mod privileges. If I can.
Oh, hey, Portia. Oh, there's Portia. I hope she got my email. She didn't have to. If she was, I didn't know, because I heard HB say something about her being not feeling well, so I assumed she was sick. So I gave her the email about the stream, but she didn't have to do anything with it. I just wanted to let her know.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. Shout out to Portia. I don't even know how to make people mods, man. I don't, man. I've been on YouTube for so long.
You know how to get
on
people?
damn, I don't know. It's not working. Chaos is a mod. That's the only mod that I have. I got you, Portia. I'll make you, Gary, and HB a mod at some point when I figure this crap out.
All right.
Damn. All right, but what do you think about the early portion of the book so far?
I think it was very interesting. Honestly, I didn't think she would go straight up. When I first read this book, I did not know that she would just go straight up into her trauma like this firsthand in the first chapter. Whenever I read a lot of books like this, I usually see like they give a little overview of their life, and then they go into the Portia. That's funny. She goes into the trauma, but no, she just goes straight off the bat with it.
Yeah, she dove right into it. The next portion, I know you know what's about to happen next. It's about to get a little deeper. I was like, damn. She just dove right into the craziness,
It starts in the prologue too. This to me anyway, this reads kind of more like a diary than an actual novel.
Right. Absolutely. But some memoirs are like that. They just get straight to, what has happened. You can tell she was reflecting and trying to figure out like why she is the way she is today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. We have one more person joining us here. I'm gonna bring Chaos Rain into the channel. What's up, Chaos? How are you doing, sir?
Hello. What's good, Brandon? Can you hear me good?
Yeah, I can hear you, man. Long time no hear, man. Welcome.
How you doing, man? Well, if you're on your laptop, which you are, just go to the name and hit the 3 dots, and that should give you the options.
I did. Oh, you know what? I know why. I need to log into my other YouTube account. I'm on the backup.
Oh,
I'll figure it out. Talk. So what do you think so far? What you heard, Chaos? What do you think?
No, I was just giving a hint because I'm in and about. I was listening briefly, but I cannot give real input because I had to listen from the beginning. But the book sounds pretty well read, simple, straightforward. One thing I do want to ask a question important about the age of children absorbing a lot of information but not retaining. What was the age again that is good to throw things at your child, like different subjects and stuff? What age was that?
Yeah, so what she is referencing is when she was a toddler. Most people don't remember things from their childhood that early.
Yes.
Some people do.
Amnesia.
Say that one more time.
I think it's called childhood amnesia. When you're a baby, you don't remember some things when you're a certain age.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. All right, Portia, I got it. You're a mod. Of course, Lolo's a mod. What's up, Lolo? I'm gonna make Sam a mod. I'm just gonna mod up everybody. Why not? Everybody's a mod. Everybody gets to be a mod. You get a mod. You get a mod. All right, give me 1 second.
Oh, you handed them out like Oprah. Yeah. Universal, if you do need any footage of the Thorps, just let me know. I can pull up a compilation of them right quick if you need.
Yes, sir. I think when I'm done with this next section, let's bring them up. There are a couple more pages, but I do want, because my audience, I guarantee most people from my audience, they have no idea.
Let me pick
who the Thorps are. Quick. So if you can tee that up, that'd be amazing.
All right, let me pick one out right quick because there's a lot of them. Hold on.
Yeah, so that was one of my question to ask. The from like subject like math, reading, or just read some or even different language. You said around age 3 to what? 5?
Yeah, 3 to 8. I said 3 to 7, but 3 to 8 is the best window to introduce your children to new learnings. It's the brain science is called synapse connections. So pretty much it's the brain connection with it. Maybe I'll just pull it up for y'all. I'm gonna get into my professor mode real quick. But it's the synapse connections of the brain. So literally what your brain looks like, if you did like a scan of your brain, it looks like if you were sitting at the bottom of a tree and you look straight up and you see all these branches. It looks like that. And what those branches, quote unquote, in your brain is like your ability to learn and pick up new things. So if you've ever been around young children, elementary age school children, you'll notice really quick that they can learn stuff very quick. They can pick up on songs, they pick up on like math and stuff. And the reason for that is because their brains are at this high level of just absorption. They take in a lot of information. And then what the thing is that you have to engage those children with those learnings. So if you want to teach someone, like if you want to teach a child a new language, that's your kind of window. You got like a 4 to 5 year window to introduce those things to the children. Because what happens is once they get to, 10, 11, 12, their bodies go through puberty and so do their brains. Your brain goes through puberty just like your body, and your brain synapse connection starts to do a pruning process. And ultimately, what you retain is what your brain thinks it needs for your whole body to survive. So, like if you look at a lot of urban-based kids, this is where I talk about this stuff in my professional life. A lot of their survival is a lot of their brain synapse connections is around survival. So a lot of them, they're not adapting always to like academics and shit like that because they need to survive in their environments. So they know how to fry, roast, fight, dance. They know how to talk shit. They know how to, they know how to survive in these environments that they're in, and that's how their brains are being wired. So some of the stuff that we end up seeing with a lot of our kids. Oh, what up, Bomb Cherry? What are you doing here? I didn't know you even knew about my channel. So some of the stuff that we see just with our kids is around brain science. We don't talk about it a lot, but it's there. So yeah, if you want to invest in your kids and you want them to like learn multiple languages, learn math, anything like that, you have a nice window between about 3 and 8 years old.
Okay, before I jump down, I know you're talking about the late night when I do my streams. I
Okay.
do make exceptions for streaming, Brandon. So I don't do them like way late at night. I could do them earlier, depending on the person.
Whenever you're ready, man. I got more time this year, so you let me know and give me just some time frames, and I'll make it happen. Any topics you want to cover?
All right, excellent. All right, I'm gonna jump down. All right, take care. Till next time.
Yeah, perfect, man. Peace out, Chaos. Well, welcome, Bomb Cherry. I'm familiar with you in these YouTube streets. I'm glad that you came over here. All right, Gary, you got that video pulled up?
Heck yeah! Hold on, let me share it real quick.
All right, we'll do that, and then we'll get back to the book here in a moment.
Let me put this on a separate screen because I think it'd be easy for me to navigate it. Because
while he's sharing that, Lolo.
Lo's here. Hey.
Yeah, what's up, Lo? We're trying to figure that out. We don't know just yet. I think so. If this is really his mom, I definitely think that her anxiety has provided a lot of influence on how Ben is who Ben is. All right. So for folks, this is going to be your introduction to Ben and Grace Thorp.
Is it Sharon? Okay.
Yeah, you're up.
All right.
Younger and Grace and John were fighting. At one point, I gave them 2 knives and said, "Go ahead, kill yourself." I never peeped. But I did have a thing when I was going to school there because I'll admit I wasn't I'm not the healthiest guy. I had issues, but we were in Cambridge, Mass, at a place that would be unprohibitively expensive now, but it was owned by the school. There was a building right across from us, and there was a family in the building, and there was I don't know, older. I'm going to say she was in her 20s, this girl, and they wouldn't put the curtains down. And I would just be waiting for the girl to take her, to undress for the night. And I mean, that's terrible. But I did spend a lot of hours looking over there. You just sit there for hours. You're going like, oh, okay, come on, please.
On the side of caution when she's joking around with a 16-year-old girl. I mean, that's just obviously ridiculous. No.
What is being cautious with a 16-year-old?
Yeah, I mean, we're 2 girls. I mean, like the fact that
if we were talking, they could talk about like, is penis size important? Let's just say, right?
Ben,
Well,
shut
for
the fuck
someone
up.
who's like, you'll say this is provocative. I think a lot of the sexual predator priest stuff is overblown. I think a lot of those kids were gay kids.
I think you're
I think 14-year-old whores who go on a mingle and are hoping to see a penis deserve to encounter porn.
I do think women are largely whores, but I wouldn't speak from my own experience. I've had several homosexual encounters, but I've not had any gay sex. I got somewhat molested by a beautiful girl when I was visiting my friend Joe Shabatoni. I loved it. I mean, she was beautiful. I think of it.
Go off a tangent.
The fondling.
What's with the tangent? Are you trying to say you got molested by a younger woman? Did you just?
No, she was old. She was old. His older sister. She was gorgeous.
Joe Sabatoni.
Yeah.
And his mother sort of agreed with him. It was crazy. Totally crazy. Nothing to do with YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
He found some whatever. This is when his mother was. I mean, this isn't really like YouTube, right? So he went through. He was convinced of this somehow. I think his mother was telling him. So he went through his sister's phone, and she sent me something. You teenage girl will send something. Maybe it was an emoji of a.
I think
eggplant
phrase it was.
Really
Hey, can you come up here and bring that big dick with you? And
Yeah, right.
Plant emojis.
Yeah.
I have no memory. I don't know.
Saying, I think I'm the most sexually normal guy in the world. I was told I have someone who goes to my chat who's a 16-year-old girl, and I was told like it's really, really a problem. I was like, what would be the problem? I chat with her. I would meet her in person. I would tell a 6-year-old girl that her dress looked pretty.
Ben.
I'm a pedophile in the Greek sense, Mike. Lover of children. I love children, especially girls.
Ben.
I love children, especially little girls.
I think you should be less ambiguous about that.
And I like to, I guess you could call it flirting, flirt with little girls and say like how pretty they look.
I don't like that. I don't like that.
Oh, I think that's your problem, guys. A normal man loves to flirt with a little girl and say, "Are you a pretty little girl?"
Flirt with little girls, you fucking.
What's wrong with him?
Depends what you mean by flirt, but yeah, like flirt. Yeah, like say like, "Aren't you a pretty little girl?" Oh, my kids were little. I very much loved their little bodies, and I pinched their butts and all that stuff. That was very touchy feely. I think you're crazy if you're not, but I'm not.
Your closing thoughts. All right.
Let's just do. Whoa! Oh shit!
Yeah, I found a bunch of these. They're all like 5 or less minutes, so I just put them all together in a playlist.
All right, play one more. Jesus.
Q&A. I can't get it.
No, we hang on. We got another
Chauvin. It's like we're not going to get anywhere. This guy's just a victim mentality.
We got another 7 minutes left in the discussion. Then we'll go to closing thoughts.
I got nothing else to say. We're just gonna go in circles. This guy's I'm just saying, he's an idiot. He's a fucking idiot, bro. This is what it is. There's nothing else to say. So I mean, you want to result the ad hominems because you can't make a fucking factual point. It's just so fucking sad, bro.
You won't even have a conversation.
You're talking about having a conversation where we're here for a debate. It's a fucking debate. I'm not here to discuss shit with you or have an exploratory conversation about how the philosophies of condom usage and not condom usage is detrimental or beneficial to society. I'm here to have a fucking debate. So I'm hysterical for just basically being myself. I'm not like this on my actual streams a lot. No, it's not. I'm just randomly this way because I'm debating a fucking loser right now. Yeah,
because you're debating a man. You're debating a man, and your mama energy comes out when you're with a man. Yeah, you're acting like a woman.
We see your dad energy when your daughter's around you, fucktard. So what about that?
Oh, there we go. Yeah,
you were waiting for that, weren't you? Well,
what a loser! What a loser!
Listen, I'm not the one that gets called a pedophile.
What a baby!
All right, so hey, looks like you love having sex with babies now, don't you? Hey, I guess you can relate, you fucking weirdo. Listen, my booty is mine; it belongs to me. You cannot have it. So stop calling me a baby.
Now I'm gay, and I do.
I know you're attracted. Right,
okay.
I know you're attracted.
That's what always happens when a woman is around a man. Accuse him of being a rapist. Good for you.
Yeah, sure, buddy. Oh, mama.
All right, this guy really
hysterical.
Bring on. Listen, he wants to have this. This is me. I don't give a fuck. I'll go low for them.
Yeah, I know it's.
I gave him multiple chances, but he wants to go ahead and do it. But he's just proving.
Yeah, you're a victim. You're a victim.
Yeah, the victim says the guy that keeps bringing up black issues where this has nothing to do with black people explicitly. So it's just so funny how a lot of people like you, subtly, who are fucking weirdos, can expose themselves. And realistically, when you get given the benefit of the doubt so many times, you still choose to drop a big fucking L by exposing how much of a retard you are. So again, bring on the fucking panel because this guy arguing with them, it's a waste of fucking time, bro. You're fucking honestly a degenerate.
All right, let's go.
Bro, I can literally go in crazy.
Look at him.
All right, listen, this is me. So you trying to shame me for how I behave anyways.
Yeah.
It's so fucking dumb.
I am. You should be ashamed.
Listen, I know
so babyish.
I should be ashamed.
You're a full-grown man acting like a baby.
I'm a full-grown man. Says the guy that's going gray over here. I'm a full-grown man. Shut the fuck up, bro. You're like 20 years older than me, which is so weird that a grown-ass man like you is not
you're a full-grown man. And I'm going gray. That's right.
Out of here. Listen, you can try to shame me for my personality. This isn't the first time Alex's chat has done that or people like you have done that, okay? Yeah, a black guy who's expressing himself is is emotional or has mama energy, okay, get real, bro. Because realistically, I'm used to fucking comments like you for people who are racist on the cover, but try to.
Oh, now we're gonna do the racist card. Yeah. Let's go. Massa ain't listening to me. Yeah, let's do it, bro. Let's do it. Let's go full ad hominem. I'm a rapist. I'm a racist. I'm Derek Chauvin, and you're George Floyd. I agree. Start screaming out, "Mama, mama, mama, mama!" Do it. That's all.
Okay, I think we've seen enough. I believe this is. I believe I've seen this one before, and I think it goes like this for the entire. Excuse me, for the rest of the video. But I think I do have two more, but I think we can look at these later, and they're also shorter than this one, as you can see here, a little shorter.
You can pull them up now. We got time.
Pull them up now?
Yeah, let the people get a nice variety of the fuckery. Why not?
Fine. Okay, your stream. Let's start with this one.
How many children do you think somebody should be able to have out of wedlock before they get negatively?
Hold on. Okay.
How many children do you think somebody should be able to have out of wedlock before they get negatively judged by other people in society? What do you think should be the limit on that? So I'm at 1. I wasn't married to my kid's mom. You're at 6. What do you think should the cutoff be?
What do you mean?
Like, what should the cutoff be before it's like you probably shouldn't be giving advice to other young men on how to live their lives if you've had 6 children out of wedlock with an ex-girlfriend/wife that hates you?
People make mistakes.
That's 6 mistakes. That's a lot of mistakes, Ben.
No, those aren't mistakes.
Really? Okay. The business wasn't a mistake. The misdemeanor charges wasn't a mistake.
If you say they're mistakes,
smoking,
I will personally kill you. If you come here and say they're mistakes, I will personally kill you.
I feel like the only person you're going to kill is your own kids with a secondhand smoke, Benjamin, if I'm going to be honest with you.
And then you said, "Oh, I'll give you a bunch of money and a free car. All you have to do is come to my house in Rhode Island."
Malik, this is trash. Did you drive to my house?
You can't just say, "Talk to me now, Malik. Talk to me now, Malik." But I'm not going to just drive to some 50-year-old guy's house in Rhode Island to get a free car.
Kids. But problem. What am I going to do? Rape you?
Are you familiar with her, Gary?
Much better. All right, so Ben, you want to go with all 3 ladies?
I am not. No.
I was, but I'd like to get rid of Malik because she's been a jerk recently to me. So I'll just go with,
I don't know any of
gorgeous Lucia and Sky. Malik is trash. So let's throw her.
Whoa.
I'm trash? I'm trash, Ben?
Yeah, you are. You're trash,
Don't insult. Hang on, Ben. Don't insult the guests. That's first.
Oh, I can't insult Malik. She can insult every man who comes on here and insult me after saying she's gonna have private sessions with me that I'm willing to pay for. She just ignores me over and over again.
You are not. Okay. Final warning. No insulting the guests. All right. I'm gonna take myself off. And Malik.
Hey, ladies. Sky, I think you met my daughter once, Grace. And I know I'm a little older, especially of Sky. Yeah. So I'm not proposing really, I'm not going to sexualize with you ladies, but I would like to, ask you, having to do with that. What do you think of someone who goes on Twitch, shakes her, stuff on the camera, and then if someone actually says to her, I just like to be friends with you and talk with you, and then talks with them, that, then they turn the guy into a creep. What do you think of that? Does that suck?
All right, that was interesting. All right, so Lucia, would you go on a date with Ben?
No.
What? Sky?
Well, I think we claimed that he wasn't really into us. I'm getting a phone call. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good. So that's a no?
No, Sky, you can call back later. I don't think Lucia felt like that.
I have a few words with Ben. Honestly, Ben, you are one of the most bipolar, angry men I know. I never called you a creep. I never called you a creep.
I offered you to come here like these girls. I offered you a car when you said you needed a car.
You asked me to talk offline.
You said it's creepy. I offered you a car.
I said, I have a full week. I have a full week. And then you said, "Oh, I'll give you a bunch of money and a free car."
Pause it for a second. Thank you.
Yeah, there's a universal.
you might be having the same thought. Go ahead. Say what you're gonna say.
This nigga is willing to give this random woman that he met online a whole ass vehicle free of charge.
You were thinking the same thing as me. I was about to say, I don't want to hear nothing else from nobody about a laptop.
No
He's
more
dropping
laptop
vehicles and 5K at a woman. Come on.
No more laptop, Jones. I can
Shout
see,
out to the
bro.
laptop game. Shout out to laptop low.
No more laptops.
I don't want to hear nothing. He's trying to give a chick a whole vehicle. You know what the irony is about this, though? He's trying to get this woman a vehicle, and they're living in an RV right now. How does that work?
Oh, just about to bring that up, man.
How does that work?
Ben. Oh God.
Hey man, I don't know when this was, but hey, he took the simping to a whole other level. I don't hear nothing else about me sending nobody a laptop.
If we ever host the Simpies on the John Goat channel, Ben is definitely getting a nomination.
Yeah. I'll take home the consolation prize, but I ain't taking home that. He's trying to give a woman a whole vehicle. That's fine. Oh, by the way, remember? Never mind. I'll bring it up later.
All right. Okay.
I was gonna bring Sir up, but forget it. All right, hit play.
All you have to do is come to my house in Rhode Island.
Yeah,
and
is
I
that
said,
offensive?
I'm good.
Regina, is that offensive? She said she needed a car. I said I've got an extra car. You can have it.
Look,
that's offensive.
I appreciate the offer, but I'm not going to just drive to some 50-year-old guy's house in Rhode Island to get a free car.
Kids. What's the problem? What am I going to do? Rape you?
I don't care how many kids you have.
Well, I mean, come on, Lucia, would you drive to my house?
You can't just say, "Talk to me now, Malik. Talk to me now, Malik." And then when I say I'm busy,
you said I would be your client. I could pay you by the hour. It's been 5 weeks. You said, "Oh, I'll hit you up." You didn't even. I could be your private late night client, one-on-one. And I mean, come on, Lucia, am I right? Women have to be held accountable, just like men, right?
Lucia is just like slowly trying to isolate herself from the situation. She's like.
Lucia's so mysterious back there. I love the lighting. She's a vision of Mediterranean glory. What a beautiful woman. I don't want this idiot over here.
I don't want to turn into a debate, but I just have a question. Why offer her the free car? Like, I don't understand.
Well, I don't want to get into her personal life, but I know she's in a tough situation. There's a lot of commonality to my situation. And I have an extra car, so I offered it to her. I also offered her $5,000. I trust that she'll pay me back. How is that creepy? I said, Malik, I'm not gay, but I'm basically asexual like she is. We can lie down in bed together, and if she wants to have a baby, we can do that. But if she doesn't, that's fine with me. I've got 6.
All right.
It's very low key. We can
all right, any final words?
All I have to do if I want this free car and $5,000 is like platonically lay in bed with him and maybe
you don't
platonically lay in bed with him and maybe
you don't have to. I said you can come. I said I would deliver the car to you if you want. I care about you as a person. I know you're in a tough situation.
What the what? What the hell?
He said, "I want to see it in 3D, mommy." He's
Yo, he ain't even gonna. He's not even expecting sex. He said, "I care about you." You know what? This level is what. This is almost as. This is worse than Linwood, in my opinion. This is worse than Linwood. That nigga didn't give no girl money. Giving him a whole ass vehicle. And $5,000.
Nah, he's stupid if he ain't trying to smash. He's dumb, but that's a whole other thing.
Oh, that's down battery.
Look at Lucia's face. She is like, what is going on? The whole conversation.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Situation. Lucia, does that sound creepy? I mean, is it?
Are you going to ask as many times if it's creepy? It probably is.
Lucia, what did you think of my singing? It was pretty good, right? I mean, come on, just that.
It was very long.
The singing was decent.
Oh, your attention span was overwhelmed by one verse of the song.
All right, anyway, thank you, Ben.
Okay, well,
always a pleasure, buddy.
Thanks, buddy.
We'll see you next time.
Bye, Ben.
Hey, yo.
Zaddy vibe.
Hey guys, if you like videos
there you
like
go,
this
Lolo.
and want to support, you can
watch that later. So I think everybody has gotten acquainted. Oh wait, Crack put a link in the back. Hold on, what is this?
Have you noticed him say that he's asexual before, or was that the first time you heard him say that?
That's the first time I've heard it for him. I always heard that he's not gay. That's it.
Mm.
The only time I've ever heard anything about his sexuality is that he doesn't like being called gay. But
yeah, so these are the characters that we are reviewing at this moment. Grace and Ben Thorp. Obviously, that's Ben. He's probably the most controversial of the three. But one thing you did not get to really see in those clips, for the folks who are not aware, is this weird entanglement between Grace and her father.
Yeah.
Some of the backstory is her father was supposed to have no contact with Grace for a few years now. They've been on the internet for a few years, but they secretly have been together for quite some time. Grace is over the age of 18, so she technically legally can be around her father, but apparently there was some sort of restraining order at some point or something. I don't know. They're together. They make content together, and there is a rumor again that these two have had some sort of incestual relationship amongst the two. As you can see, he has a lot of sexual perversion. I'm making up words. He kind of has a interesting take when it comes to sex. He talks about sex with his daughter like he's talking to his friend about it. It's very fascinating. But we might find out why that is in a moment. I'm getting ready to read the next portion of the book. This is page 15, where we are introduced to a character named Albert. So give me 1 second. Let me share this. I have to share two separate screens because for some reason the photo was flipped and I can't unflip it on Google. So give me one moment. Hopefully this looks okay. That doesn't look too bad. So we're going to get introduced to Albert. And again, we're reading the book for folks who are coming in a little late. This is those two people we just seen, Ben and Grace Thorp. This is Ben's mother, or Grace's grandma. We're going to call her Grandma Thorp for today. And we're going to talk, and this is her memoir. Her book is entitled Confessions, the Entangling and Untangling of Another Preacher's Kid. And her name is Christy Stevenson. I believe that's how you pronounce her last name. And we are just, we're taking her book into three separate chunks as the way she wrote it. And we're about to get introduced to a character named Albert. And this is about her childhood. So, Albert. I was about 4.5 years old when he took my hand, telling me that he was going to show me a new game in the barn loft. He was 14, the oldest of 7 sons of the family next door, who took care of the farming around the parsonage in Shortland, where my father had just started working as a minister. He had already come to know a few children in the neighborhood after we had moved to Shortland. We played all kinds of games together outside. I was often introduced to games that were new to me. Nothing seemed strange to me as I walked with Albert towards the barn. I was going to learn about this new game. I think I remember feeling bored while I was waiting for the rest of my family, who Albert had said would be there soon. The other friends never showed up. Instead, my mother happened to arrive in the barn looking for eggs for the hens. My mother saw us and screamed. Her scream shocked me. I was laying on my back in the hay, naked. Albert had placed his vest with a silk lining under me. He was on his knees looking at my body, I guess. No one will ever know if Albert had intended to do anything more than look. The doctor was called. The shocking event made it to the local newspaper. I had no understanding of what was going on. No one tried to explain anything to me. Again, I was alone in the world that had suddenly changed so dramatically. My mother had only one question for me. Why did you scream? The question, of course, felt like an accusation. Yeah. So let me share the next page. Give me 1 second. So she has this experience with this 14-year-old boy from the neighborhood where he, strips a 4.5-year-old naked in a barn. Man, that is like, what the fuck? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, I did think it was kind of goofy that the book doesn't elaborate more into this subject, but since it's obviously from her perspective, they couldn't get any more information when it came to Albert. I can't remember or not if he's brought up in other chapters in the book. I would probably have to reread it.
Yeah, he's not brought up again in this first portion. But it's interesting. So why should I have screamed? Albert was a friend. What had happened? Within days that followed, I remember seeing Albert standing outside of the door of my father's office. His head bowed down. He was begging for forgiveness. Albert was not forgiven. Instead, the whole family was evicted and had to leave town. So that was interesting. They got him up. They got them up out of there. And there's probably a lot of shame and guilt around that family in that little small town for him to even do something like that.
Mm-hmm.
All I eventually came to understand was that something terrible had happened to Albert and his family, and that it was my fault. Again, kids placing blame upon themselves. This is at age 4.5. And again, she's recanting and rethinking about this as well. Because I had not screamed. I felt completely responsible for all the shame and suffering that have fallen upon this family. I hope so desperately that I would never have to face them ever again. By pure chance, 15 years later, I was working as a young nurse for an eye surgeon in another town. I was shocked to discover that the patient whose bandages I had just removed from his eyelids was Albert's father. I didn't remember him, but Albert's father saw my name tag on my uniform and swore. And as always, I felt guilty, ashamed, and alone. So here you have this experience of, close sexual encounter. And, I mean, honestly, even though there was no reported penetration, I still think that this is embarrassing enough and lewd enough for a child to go through with a 14-year-old boy and then to be discovered by their mom that it can have some kind of detrimental impacts on the development. But the fact that she assumes responsibility for this family's kind of eviction from town, eviction from town, that says a lot about this woman and how she developed. And she's naked in a barn, man. You know what I mean? With a 14-year-old boy. And she blames herself and with the shame and the guilt that this family had to get out of town. What do you think about that, Gary?
Honestly, I do think that is. I wish we had this from another perspective, from Albert's perspective, because there's a lot that is left out here, especially during her being blacked out in the barn. I just wish there were a little bit more information on this. I hope I'm not talking about them going into whether or not he did anything to her or anything, but
yeah.
It just sounds odd.
Yeah, it is odd. This whole family is odd, man. This is crazy. This is an odd family, man. Like, I hope that at some point I can actually ask Grace and Ben about this when I read the whole book. I want to know if they read this, what stories do they know from their grandma, they're willing to talk about it. I honestly think Ben is uncouth enough that he will actually talk about this shit. Like, I really think he would.
Yeah. Would you ask him about the book directly, or would you just ask his general ideas about what happened?
Well, I won't ask him directly if he's read it.
Okay.
Yeah, but just generally, what does he know from his mom's past? How was she as a parent? I want to know that. I would like to know Grace's perspective. Did she ever meet her grandma? Has she ever been around her? I don't know what that relationship's like. I did read that the grandmother does reside in the United States. So, I believe I think she's in Pittsburgh because that's where the book was published. But I don't know.
Okay. I believe Crack did say something, if I'm remembering correctly, because I did go up to when Ben was on John's channel and I asked Crack about the date and I told Crack about the date and all that stuff. But I think Ben was there and he said he would react to this, like react to your videos.
Really?
Panel.
I think he's that type of guy. He doesn't give a shit. He'll just do it.
Yeah, I was going to say, if anything, he's going to contact. I don't know if he knows your channel, but he'll probably get it from like John or Portia or Crack or somebody.
I highly doubt if he knows my channel. I'll next time he's on John's channel, I'll just pull up and see if he's willing to do an actual interview. Now it might end in him calling me nigger, but
that's the main reason I didn't want him up on the on the reaction to the book in the first place, because he's just going to say a bunch of stuff. Eventually the conversation will get derailed and it'll go into a screaming match between you or whoever else is on the panel and Ben.
Right. Wait a minute. Did Crack just post a family tree link? Wait a minute. We got to take a hard...
Oh, he posted a family tree link. Oh, yeah.
We got to take a hard pause, everybody. Hold on. 1 second. What the fuck? This family is documented that they have a fucking family tree.
Yeah,
this is insane.
Guess who made this? Guess who made the family tree link? Grace.
What is this, a fucking homework project or something?
Yes.
This family's crazy. Oh, the domain. It's not working, crack. Do I need to have like some?
Yeah, you want me to pull it up? I think.
Yeah, pull it up, Garrett, if you can. Why is it not working? That's weird.
Is the domain not finished? It doesn't even look complete. I'll try
it. Gary's victim shame.
I am not victim shame. I am not victim shame. Ben ain't no victim.
Man.
Yeah, it's not working for me either. I don't think the domain is even finished.
Yeah, I think I think something's wrong with the domain, Craig. Man, Craig just has like files on folks, man.
Yeah, he knows way more about this stuff than anybody, man. He's probably got like whole hard drives dedicated to all the dirt that Ben has been doing.
Oh, Lo, they're reacting to me right now? Damn.
Oh, they are? Damn.
Just tell them to pull up. Fuck it. I gotta react to this shit. Come on up. All right. And we haven't even gotten into the book yet to have them fucking on here just yet. All right. Fuck it. We're here. We're doing it. All right, I'm gonna dive back into reading the book. I'm black.
I'll wait until you're done because I think I got it.
You got just go ahead. Pull it up now.
Okay.
Now.
Let me share it.
They're reacting to this now.
God dang. No wait. No patience. Anyway. All right, I got it. Universal, you there? I got it pulled up.
My bad. Yeah, I see it.
Okay, we got Ben, and I have no idea what this. Oh, that's that personality.
That's his personality test. If people really wanted me to dive into that, I can dive into it.
Master of Theology.
Yeah, he's got a master's in theology. That's good.
Okay. Courtney Thorp. This is the wife. Waitress. Same personality type as Ben.
Yeah, that's probably why they're not together. But that's
We got Charles Thorp, Junior Tech Nerd. That's funny. He's 6'1". Wait, hold on. How tall is Ben? 6'8".
Ben's pretty tall.
Yeah, Ben's a big motherfucker.
Well, okay, is it the IG that we checked out? Is that what's his name? I forgot his name already. Is that Charles's page?
I believe that is Charles. Hold
Okay.
on. That's this guy right here. Portia, what the fuck?
That's a fact.
Jigaboo boat.
Just cooning along on the internet.
Margaret Thorpe. John was the IG of the art. Wait, John. Oh, the other brother. Okay.
Okay, so John. Okay.
Yeah, I think he's the one that they don't talk to too much.
So can we pull this up? Man, that dude looks just like Ben. The guy, one of the guys you just scroll by. Wow, they look a lot like this guy right here. I can't read his name. Something with a T. He looks just like Ben.
Oh, yeah, Timothy. Timothy Thorpe.
So where is okay? So there's the author right there. Second picture to the top right here. That is Christy. So yes, that is Ben's mother from this family tree. Okay. Yeah, I would like to just talk to them about this genogram right here. Like, tell us about this family tree. Interesting. So Ben has two brothers. Scroll to the left a little bit. So he has two brothers and three brothers.
I want to just full screen it, but it's already blurry enough as it is.
So he's from a family of all boys. That's cool. And then Ben's children. They have. See, I don't know all the family histories. I don't know. Okay, so Grace is the oldest.
Yeah.
Okay, so Grace is the oldest of 6. Okay, cool. All right. Well, I guess this confirms that this is, Mama Thorpe. So I wonder what Grace's relationship is like with her cousins, and I wonder if the cousins, like the people in her generation, do they do any social media stuff outside the brother? Obviously has Instagram.
Yeah, I'm going to say
And
John.
how they respond to all this crazy shit on the internet? That'd be very interesting.
Oh, thank God. Okay.
Portia said, "Let's get active." Portia, this series might burn down before we even get to part 2.
I know, right? Yeah, I do.
Oh shit! All right. Well, man, this is good. This is the psychological nerd in myself likes looking at these genograms and family trees. I got a lot of questions. It'd be interesting to read later in the book if Grandma Thorpe talks about Papa, Grandpapa Thorpe, Eric.
Do you want me to send you a link to all this stuff in an email?
Yeah, man. Yeah, absolutely. If you
Heck
can
yeah,
throw it
okay,
in the
gotcha.
back chat, that'd be appreciated for sure.
All right, hold on.
All right. Well, the Thorpes, if you're watching, welcome, and we're covering Grandma Thorpe's book.
Heck
Hopefully
yeah,
we do it justice, and
we are the first ones too. There's no reviews on this book so far.
Once this is over, I would love to talk to both of you about the book and any other thoughts you have on your family. Why not? Yeah. All right, we'll keep reading if you're good with that. You got anything you want to say on this, family?
No. I think I've said everything I need to say so far. I do want to get more into this book, though. Some of these other chapters get crazy.
Yeah, I'm sure they do. So I gotta take this shit in chunks, man. We can't do one stream.
No. We gotta pace ourselves with this. This is hilarious.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Boom. All right, let me zoom in for folks. And there we go. All right. So the next section that I think I skipped a couple of chapters, and I got to this one.
Yeah.
So of trees, trolls, and other natural mysteries. So even though my father, the encompassing Lutheran minister, did not allow his children to read the common myths and fairy tales about trolls and other imagined powers, all of which was readily available for other children, I still had eyes and ears and my own imagination at work for me, as I was always battling the brutal nature around me in the very north of Norway. Being surrounded by huge mountains and all other mostly untamed aspects of nature for so far north provided plenty of fodder for my imagined tales of terror. During the winter, when it was dark both night and day for about 3 months. I was often outside in the dark, even at night, by myself, walking around on my skids in the beautiful moonlight again, feeling so unbearably alone. In the middle of such night, in the middle of such night, the northern lights, aurora, I think that's borealis, borealis, would suddenly appear in the sky. I was both astonished and very frightened when these powerful, beautifully colored lights moved around me, seemingly navigated by supernatural powers and speed, while generating eerie electric sounds. Sometimes the northern lights created a huge circle in the sky with the opening in the middle. The mysterious opening immediately filled this minister's daughter with terror. It looked exactly like the image I had in my mind of the second coming of God, and I was not ready. If God were about to appear in this fiery open, it would be the end of everything. I would kick off my skids and run, hoping to find a hiding place, and I found it every time at home. Whenever I wanted to meet friends, I had to walk long distances into all kinds of weather, along narrow paths through the woods alone. This was especially nerve-wracking in the winter when I had to pass huge branches hanging from snow-covered trees reaching across the path. These trees looked like scary trolls with enormous arms ready to grab everyone who dared walk through the woods and disturb them. In order to avoid getting caught by these outstretched arms with crooked fingers, I always held my breath while walking extremely carefully. I knew that if I should accidentally come to annoy one of the trolls, it would mean certain death. It was especially spine-tingling, where the paths often became so narrow that I was forced to actually touch or be touched by some of these arms. I was always amazed and extremely relieved and happy when I finally was out of the woods and inside of my friend's house in one piece. At this time in my life, facing such danger was always worth it to me. My boundless need to see my friends and not be alone drove me to risk my life over and over again. this is interesting. So the restriction of the minister father to find not comfort, but just find an engagement around these myths and these creatures, and really, I think probably the dad was trying to just avoid any demonic entrance for his children and it just to be holy. She still had the imagination to utilize her environment to create these demonic things. So she creates trolls out of trees. So she associates the night as, and a lot of people associate darkness with, evil. But, looking at the aurora, looking at the northern lights and seeing the mythical nature of it, which there is, I don't know if people have seen it. There's a lot of mythical pieces to it. It's pretty mesmerizing when you do see such a sight. But to have this kind of fear-based experience around it was interesting. And also, I think another thing that's interesting here to me is that she associates her ability to visit her friends around like avoiding or overcoming this negative nature that's outside. Like, I don't know what the fuck that has to do with anything. It's kind of weird. What do you think about this passage?
It really does it really does highlight the fact, like what I said earlier, is that this is mainly just a form of dumping. This is more like a diary than anything else. She is unloading any of her hidden thoughts during whenever she was writing this book and whatever she could remember at the time, just regardless of any cohesion or anything that has to do with the event that was taking place. I do like that about her though, because it does show a little bit of how disjointed her mind might be, or is basically, because this book dang near confirms that. But I really do like that side of this writing.
Yeah, she gives good visuals. I mean, like as I'm reading it, I feel like I'm like experiencing it with her. Fascinating. What do y'all think in the chat? What do y'all think about this so far in the chat? All right, next page. Witness to tragedy. How my fear of driving was established. Like again, earlier I mentioned anxiety and the difference between how we all have a level of anxiety versus when it becomes clinical. And I made the distinction that, when anxiety becomes a problem for you, when it shows up in the things you need to do or the things you want to do. And she's not hinting, she's directly sharing with us things that she needs to do in her life that anxiety becomes fearful for her. So, this whole book's about, I think the whole book's really about her overcoming her fears and kind of living her life. And I guarantee that she had a lot of fear-based parenting in her life. And it'd be interesting to see if she talks about her relationship with her husband and how they reared Ben and his brothers. It'd be very, very interesting to see how anxiety shows up in that. All right. So, All right. So, witness to tragedy, how my fear of driving was established. I was about 8 years old, riding the bicycle along the main road of Shortland. As always, on my way to school, when a bus was going in the same direction, stopped next to me to let a woman off. I also stopped. I didn't know the woman, but I had seen her in the neighborhood before. She was middle-aged. Nobody seemed to know her. She was always alone. The woman stepped off the bus and walked across the back of the bus to see if it was safe for her to cross the street. She stopped, only for a second, but then decided to run across. A speeding taxi driver didn't see her in time. The woman was crushed between the taxi and the fence around her home. I heard the grueling sound of her last breath. Damn. Wow. I was horrified. I stood there alone and devastated. Eventually, someone came over to ask for my name. As I was now a witness, they said. Still in shock, I knew it was my duty to get to school on time. Therefore, I simply got back on my bike and made it to school on time. I did not talk with anyone about what happened. My parents found out about the tragedy from the newspaper. It was also from the newspaper that my parents found out that I was there when the tragedy happened. Still, neither of my parents nor anyone else sat down with me to help me process this gruesome experience. A couple weeks later, I was brought to a courthouse by a person I had never met before, where I was asked to tell the judge what I observed. So again, we have this kind of this thread of being alone, seeing a tragedy or being a part of a tragedy, no parents there to coddle or take care of process, and feeling isolated and responsible for taking care of these like almost adult like responsibilities. This is interesting. And this is at 8, man. She's experienced a lot already. Oh shit, one of these pages again. All right, give me 1 second. Let me pull this up on a different 3947. I'm gonna pull this up on a different window. 3947. I actually think this might be my last image of the night from this book. All right, so we can see it upright. Okay. All right, so again, we are talking about this car accident tragedy. Grandma Thorp is now 8 years old and in the courthouse sharing what happened. After this tragedy, I made a promise to myself I would never get behind the wheel of a car. In my mind, cars had become murder weapons. In Norway, public transportation was excellent. Therefore, this decision was not completely unrealistic for a Norwegian. Many years later, after I moved to America, I was raising my children. I realized I could no longer refuse to learn how to drive and simply handed over to others all the daily responsibilities of bringing my children to and from school and other activities. I finally decided I had to learn how to drive in spite of the terror I felt and still feel. Wow, she's still holding that anxiety around driving. Later on, still a new driver, a very anxious and not yet familiar with the language appearing on all kinds of road signs, I was driving home from work along Route 95 in Rhode Island. It was after midnight. I had just finished the evening shift at the psychiatric hospital where I worked. Suddenly, a new sign appeared on the side of the road. No passing beyond this point. Shocked, I quickly pulled over and stopped. I had just reached the end of Route 95 or the end of the world. Hold on, let me reread that. I fucked that up. Shocked, I quickly pulled over and stopped. Had I reached the end of Route 95 or maybe the end of the world? I am both amazed and endlessly grateful that none of my 6 children has inherited my fear of driving. Okay. So mommy struggled to take them from one end to the next, point A, point B. She was able to navigate and find other people to kind of handle that for her. And looks like as her kids got older, aka Ben, they were able to kind of navigate and drive for themselves. So this is the first time she brings up her children in the book. And also we have this beeline of tragedy. A couple other things that I wanted to point out at this point. The Norwegian heritage. I am from Minnesota. We have pretty much our culture is heavily influenced by Norwegian, so I can probably relate to some of this as she goes through the book. Even though I am black, I am a black person, and it ain't the same. But I have grown in this Norwegian Americanized culture that we have here in this state, the great state of Minnesota. And then the other thing is her experience as a psychologist, and then also her experience working in the psych department. Those are 2 things that I also have some experience in, so I might be able to relate to some of those things if they show up in the book as well. So yeah, those are the portions of the book so far. Let me stop sharing here. I don't have any other passages. This first portion of the book actually wraps up in a few more pages. I do plan on doing a part 2 here in the next few days. But what have we learned so far about Ben Thorp? What have we learned so far about Grace's grandmother? Is that she grew up with some pretty severe experiences. Now, I don't want to get into the trauma Olympics and what's more traumatic than this. for this young woman or old woman, but for her growing up, I would say for her to see those things, see that lady get killed by the taxi driver, have that experience of being stripped naked in a barn, being beaten by her father. There's probably other things that we have not discovered just yet. Her level of just traumatic experiences has developed into a significant amount of anxiety that she is aware of and she's speaking on. And I think that that's important for us to acknowledge. Does that play a role in who Ben is today? Probably so, most likely. Does that play a role into who Grace is? Most likely. What do we know about family patterns, rearing, things of that nature? Is we pick up a lot of things from our parents, whether they did those things right or wrong. You know, as you develop, you decide how much or how least likely you want to be like your actual parents. So it's a fascinating book so far. Fascinating book. Gary, what are your thoughts in this first 30 plus pages or so?
I did think that it was I do agree with you, Universal, that a majority of this was incredibly interesting. I am also surprised that you completely skipped over the woodstocking chapter. I did not think, I actually thought you would go more into this chapter, because when I first read it, I was thinking that it was a little insane, the amount of what's the word?
We can
self-guilt? Self-loathing that she has for doing something as simple as telling a lie.
Yeah.
I thought that was incredible. I thought that was a little crazy.
We can get into it. I think that was that the thunderstorms one? No,
it was hold on. It was right after Trees and Trolls, I believe. I got my hold on, let me get my
at the end.
Yeah, let me get my hold on, let me get my copy of the book, because when I was reading the amount of dang near mental self-cutting that she was doing just for saying a single lie, I was like, wow, I've never seen anyone get this worked up over.
We can pull it up, folks. Give me 1 second. I'll take some quick snapshots and pull it up. Give me 1 second.
I believe how old was she when she did this? Like 4 or 5?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, this. I don't know why I skipped this one, honestly. Oh shit! Actually, we opened YouTube. Give me 1 second. Why did I skip this? I made some notes.
This one was incredibly interesting to me. She said I was alone and placed in front of God, the Almighty Judge. Anything that the world would throw at me, it would throw at a liar. And I was like, what the? What type of pro-black poetry am I reading? What the?
She black.
Jesus. Yeah, I am surprised you skipped this one, to be honest with you. The other one was the others were kind of okay, and the ones that you did cover, I was thinking that you were going to cover anyway. So yeah, you got that one. Just that one. That's the only one I had.
We'll pull it up. We'll pull it up for the people.
Yeah.
There we go. Shout out to Max. All right. All right, folks. Let me flip that around. Boom, boom. All right, so we're going to cover one more section of this first portion of the book. Damn, let me do this. All right. Is that Sharon? That's Sharon. Okay, perfect. All right, so woodstocking, my first lie. Yeah, I don't know why. I honestly really don't remember why I skipped this part. I was reading this shit early this morning. I don't remember. Something was like, whatever. All right, we'll get into it.
It wasn't too bad. Just the little poem that she had at the end, that wasn't interesting at all.
Yeah. Wool stockings, my first lie. I hated hand knitting itching wool stockings. My mother had knitted and made me wear. I was 9 years old, and all of the other girls I knew were all allowed to wear nylon stockings. However, nylon stockings were seductive. Ooh. And as a minister's daughter, I had to wear what my parents deemed appropriate. I had prayed over and over again that my parents one day would tell me that they had found me in a basket. Oh my God! This is funny. Let me start over. Sorry. I had prayed over and over again that my parents one day would tell me that they had found me in a basket on their doorstep, meaning that I was not really their daughter. This prayer was never answered according to my frequent and most sincere petitions. I'm sorry. That's fucked up.
No, it's okay.
Like, damn, you prayed to God that you were not born into this family.
I told you, bro. I don't know why you skipped this one.
That is fucked. I wonder if Grace feels this way. I don't know. It's kind of fucked up. It was the middle of winter in the north of Norway. There was lots of snow everywhere. Yet, due to the merciful Gulf Stream, it was not very cold. It was Saturday, so there was no school, and I was going to my girlfriend Liv Merritt's house to play. I initially got dressed according to my parents' directives. However, as soon as I was out of their sight, I took a detour to the shed. Not the first time. That's an interesting statement right there. Huh? Is that the same shed she was stripped naked in? That was a barn. But where I took off the excessive clothing, including those awful knitted stockings. Feeling free, I almost danced, full of joy, in my tall rubber boots as I headed to my friend's house. Then the tragedy happened. As I entered Liv Merritt's house, her mother, Fro I think that's pronounced Jorgens, right? Jorgensen.
Fro Jorgen. Lisa.
Yeah.
I think
Fro Jorgen. Yeah, I'm black. According to actually looking at me the other day and saw my bare legs in those boots. Wild accusations were shooting from her eyes as her words cut through the air. Did your mother say that bare legs would be all right today? I froze. I had been found out. For some completely unknown place within me came the almost inaudible yes. The world shook. My whole life, myself, as I come to know it, came completely disappeared. I did not think about what my parents would say when they found out that I had taken off my stockings. I did not worry about Freud Jurgen's misgivings. Instead, my lie had transported me to a terrible place where I was completely alone in front of God. Yet again, alone in front of God. The ultimate judgment. I had willfully lied for the first time in my life. I destroyed myself. I was now a liar. My life was ruined. I would never be happy again because whatever life could possibly bring me in the future, it would bring to a liar. Damn. Wow. I mean, to cast that level of judgment upon yourself is pretty stark, for how old was she?
4 or 5, I believe.
No, she was 9 here. She was 9.
She was 8. Oh, she was
for
9.
a 9-year-old. Okay. Wow, man. Like think about. So what I'm gathering is that her religious influence was so strong, and her dad being a minister and what he delved out in that family. I mean, her battle at the age of 9 with this God is really intriguing. It's kind of scary, honestly, though, too. That she would cast such a judgment upon herself at the age of 9 that she was so wrong for telling a lie. And it wasn't a big lie. And I know, big lies, little lies, white lies, of course, all those types of things make a difference. But she just wanted to be fly and wear some boots with no stockings, right? She wanted to be like the other girls. But her not being able to, or her being able to tell that lie, she just casted the rest of her life away because she's now a liar. She told one little lie. That's insane. For a kid, too. Kids lie all the time about stupid stuff. But that's insane. Any thoughts from you?
Not really. I kind of said everything I needed to say about this chapter. I did like I really did like the introspection that came from. Well, she's very introspective for a 9-year-old. I don't know if that has anything to do with her upbringing or she's just naturally like that, but she does think about her situation a lot. It's either that or she's reflecting on it as she's an adult writing this book. I don't know which came first, but whether or not it did happen, she's very introspective when it comes to stuff like that, especially with her past.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there may be a little of both. I think, at 9 years old, you definitely can remember things. So she probably did have these memories and she's probably thought of them over time. And she's also reflecting back on what happened. As a psychologist, I would be surprised if she did not reflect on these things throughout her years as she's moving forward. But yeah, this is fascinating. We have another friend of the show that just hopped up. We're going to let this gentleman join the panel as well. Oh, we got a couple people. Oh, we got to get it popping.
Portia's been spamming. Yeah, Portia's been spamming the link. Anyway, hey Grace, hey Ben. I know you guys are watching right now. What's up?
Yeah, welcome. And we also have the statement boy himself.
Yeah, well, how you like that? How you like that?
What's up, Rich?
I'm telling you, Craig. The second I saw this book, man, I knew it was a gem. I knew it was a gold mine, and we had to capitalize. I'm sorry.
So
what are my ears listening to? What is this?
We are reading Grandma Thorpe, as we're calling her. We're giving her a nickname, but we are reading Ben Thorpe's mother's book. Her book is entitled Confessions, The Tangling and Untangling of Another Preacher's Kid. It's a memoir.
Okay, and how did you guys find it? How did you come about this memoir?
Yeah, it's my fault.
Blame it on crack.
You know what? I could have guessed it was you. I could have
The
guessed.
funny thing is, like, of all the stuff that they put on the web from the Thorpes and stuff, I don't know why nobody ran across this book. So this is
Probably
ancient
because
book.
nobody reads.
Well, yeah, maybe.
But we do, nigga. We do.
Yeah,
we
we
read, daggum.
We read and we black.
Well, yeah, I mean, Universal. Yeah, you really gotta dive into like the Scandinavian psyche because Gary's surprised by the whole.
He's Scandinavian in origin.
Yes.
Okay.
The mom was born in the north of Norway.
Very high north. Yeah, that town is way high up there.
No wonder he's 6'9" and a pedophile.
Mm-hmm. This is from Hyperborea, man.
And you know, that's funny. I believe I heard you say something, Universal. You had grown to love or have a reverence for Scandinavian culture because of your proximity to it in Minnesota.
Yes.
Minnesota.
Yeah, I would say it definitely has influenced myself because it's literally the predominant culture here.
It is. It is. I told you I grew up Lutheran, and you know, for a moment in time, you know, I spoke nothing but, you know, German was basically my second language, and we would go into small bumble whatever towns in Minnesota, and with our pastor at the time, and go see, and you know, go to these small towns where they had Lutheran churches and worship there, etc. And and these towns, they'd speak nothing but German, man. In Minnesota, no English whatsoever.
Yeah.
And absolutely, I do have a reverence for the Scandinavian identity. But this is, I didn't know that his mother wrote a memoir. I'll tell you, listening to it for the couple minutes I've heard it, especially that wool stocking, my first
I
line
told him that's my
chapter.
favorite, man. That's my favorite.
That's pretty good. It's leaps and bounds better than the corn swill I subjected myself to recently, the last 2 days. Ta-Nehisi Coates' recent book, The Message.
You read that?
I did, which is absolute garbage. It's garbage. He wants so badly to be oppressed, man. He wants so badly to be set upon by racism. It's not even funny. But this right here is leaps and bounds better than that shit that I had to listen to and read.
Man, he should never complain. He's a MacArthur fellow. You know what that is? I know you know what that is.
I do know what a MacArthur fellow is.
He's a fucking MacArthur fellow. He should never complain about anything.
He's uber rich. The man has had nothing but privilege his entire life. I don't want to hear anything from him. And when I read it, dude, especially chapters 4 and 5, you know, it's not a exceedingly long read, but
yeah, it's not.
He tries to juxtapose his I'll call it black fragility, because it is black fragility. But he tries to juxtapose his black fragility with the Jewish fragility. He wants to so badly. I'm sorry, not Jews, with the Palestinian fragility and their cause. It's ridiculous. This man is totally inept and totally disconnected from reality. So,
oh dang! Now I'm interested. I do like reading some pro-black craziness. What's the name of the book again?
It's absolute garbage, man. I mean, the hip hop references never fucking stop.
Oh, God.
You know,
hip hop references.
The guy acts like he was born in poverty. He was not impoverished. And the only reason why I read it was because Glenn Lowry said he liked it, and I would always comment and say, it you know, there's nothing redeemable about Ta-Nehisi Coates. Period. There's nothing redeemable about him in anything he writes, man. He writes in my estimation, he writes like a third grader. But whatever. It's just it's annoying. You should read it. It's Glenn
Is it
Lowry
called The Message?
Really off. Yeah, go ahead.
Is it called Blacks? Is it called The Message?
Yes, it's called The Message.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay,
That's
I found it.
It's bullshit, man. Don't get enamored by his colorful language, because that, I believe, is where most uneducated Negroes get enamored by him. Not that I'm calling you, Gary, and uneducated.
Oh, no, I'm not. I'm sorry. I'm not scared of a nigga's big words.
But he,
number one nation bestseller, New York Times.
Not
What
even
the
big words, just colorful sentences. Like I told you, he likes to reference heavily rap music. It's ridiculous. I mean, this dude, man. Anyway, but I think where Glenn Lowry falls in love with it, is the last two chapters where he paints Jewish people as, pretty much irredeemable in terms of, the state of Israel and them destroying Palestinian and other, quote, people of color, unquote, settlements within the borders of Israel settlements, and then, claiming it under their laws. It's ridiculous, man. You're not missing anything. Glenn, I hate you for this.
Anyway. Oh, good. I'm reading these reviews, man. These reviews are insane.
What are you saying?
They cry about it. They cry about
it. For the message book.
I might not read the book, but I'll check out. I'll see if I can get some passages from it and check it out.
Just get some passages.
I am a fan of Glenn Lowry, so it'll be interesting to see. Because I know that they've had kind of some back and forths over the years, so it's interesting that he's aligning with him.
Well, he generally likes Ta-Nehisi. Who doesn't like Ta-Nehisi is John McWhorter.
Oh no, yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. Yeah, McWhorter's going at. They've had back and forths. Yeah.
Now Glenn is forcing me to agree with John, who I call Jonathan as in disrespect, because I don't like Jonathan McWhorter very much. I think he's a raging liberal who wants to keep his place in the kingdom of liberals. So, but I do agree with him in some occasion, but for the most part, I disagree. And so that I have to disagree with Glenn and agree with John is killing me, because I knew before I read this book, it was going to be corn swill. I knew it. Yeah. And I knew Glenn was in his feelings when he gave his, he was in the affirmative for the book.
Interesting. I actually might read Glenn Lowry's memoir at some point.
Oh, that's very good.
Yeah, because I know it
very good. Read it, you'll love it. I won't spoil it for you. Very good.
Yeah, awesome. Any other thoughts on this Thorp book?
You know what I think about the Thorps. I think they're degenerates of the highest order.
The highest order.
I think that the book kind of reveals that they came from good stock, especially someone who can be so incensed by a lie. I would assume she was a child when she talks about her first lie. Is that
9-year-old?
Yeah, everything we've read has been under the age of 9 so far.
Oh, okay. That's very interesting to me. I like family history, so I like that. So it's very unfortunate that he and his children have moved so far away from sanity.
That is another aspect I do want to get into later. I don't know if we'll ever get into it during this section, but it's something like I kind of want to know where all this craziness starts. Like, is Ben himself the catalyst, or does it go back farther? Because we do have a history of their family tree early. Oh yeah, they got the Instagram.
Oh yeah, you got her brother's art.
What the hell is that?
Oh, that's
Grace's brother John's art. Yeah.
Go ahead, Crack.
So
Hop in.
I think we can get some psychological insights into this.
Yo,
So,
one of
so
these
the,
pieces
so the book.
is near the middle.
Wait, the
It's
book has
hilarious.
art too, huh? So the mom has
Yes.
art. Or okay, good. So we got grandma art and grandson art,
Brother.
or
So whose
great
art is
grandson art.
this that I'm looking at? That looks like Tales from the Crypt.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the this is Grace's brother. Is it John? I think it's John.
It's John.
It's John.
Yeah, John. John Henry Thorpe.
Lord have mercy.
I
Okay.
mean, the art's not bad on a.
I mean, he's definitely talented. He can.
No, it's
So-
not that it's bad. It's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, look at the
It's
imagery.
off-putting.
Yes.
Yeah, it's off-putting. Except for that,
he
except for that one in the
obviously
middle
understands
there. That
depth
one
of field and
that one
other
looks nice.
and other ways of expressing himself. But this dude, Lord, this man.
So John right now is a plumber. He's pretty much disowned Ben and Grace. He's the only sibling that's basically said that the incest is happening. The other siblings don't say anything about it. If it ever is happening, I don't know.
This man's
So
at war with himself. Look at
yeah, so yeah, this is a hard thing to say, right? Because can you trust someone's opinion or word or whatever when they're so biased one way? I can't. So if anybody's like curious about like, oh, is the incest happening or not, he's probably not a
Listen,
good,
valid source.
Yeah, valid source.
I
yeah.
don't put any stock.
But
in
Ben definitely has abused him in some sense because we're getting this shit here. And we have video of him being kicked by Ben. So Grace
Really?
getting kicked isn't a
Yeah.
new thing because he got kicked like on stream. Like, yeah, Ben got mad and started kicking him in the car or something like several times.
What?
You see what I'm saying? Listen.
Yeah, I'm gonna say universe. Hold on.
So to me, this is what I told Lolo. It's like, look, kicking someone like, whatever, like, yeah, I've okay. Obviously, you should be kicking anyone, and definitely a parent and a kid, right? But to me, it's like, okay, if you get mad enough, all right, once in a while, okay, maybe.
Joe Biden scene. Look at that.
Yeah, but the problem is like you're doing it on camera. So like, what are we not seeing off camera? What kind of abuse is going on off camera? So that's kind of my concern. It's like, yeah, okay, I can see like someone pulling a temper tantrum once in a while. All right, maybe I'll forgive it, but
These
it's like
grade schoolers. You know what I mean? These are adults.
Yeah, right.
And what I see is some deep-seated psychotic. There's some sort of psychotic break happening here. He has an affinity for the occult in some regard, and I don't know. Look, there goes Ben Thorp right there with the sun hat on. But no, I don't know. Listen, this is some,
it does. It does kind of look. That does kind of look. Like,
yo, this is some crazy dystopian nightmare.
we could go Freud on this shit. Hell yeah.
Dude.
Yo, if
And
we're
look
willing
at
to
the
do art
crazy guy.
inspection with SKC, we got to do this.
Lord have mercy, man. Listen, I think
You should go work with Marvel or something.
that these people
Yeah.
have a very unhealthy relationship with the internet. They want so badly to be popular, they're willing to do anything. I don't know about him being a incest pedo. He could be, like you said, Crack. I'm not inclined just to believe somebody who's entirely one-sided. You know what I mean? I don't really care to believe them. Oh, that definitely looks like Ben Thorp right there, without a mustache. Yes.
Hold on. Can you put my Universal? Can you put my profile up? Because I got mine of Ben. Let's do a side by side comparison if you
How
can.
do I do that?
These
Can I
people
do
are
it side by
nuts.
side? Let's see. Oh shit! I don't know how to do that.
I don't think you can do that.
I don't got them skills.
I think you have to
Don't give him a
download his
minute.
avatar
Don't
and
give him
then-
a minute.
You got to move up the avatars up the order and then do it. Yeah.
Fuck you do that? Yeah,
You have to drag them. Yeah.
Yeah, just drag him in the menu. It should give you an option.
Hold on.
Bro, you're gonna have to play around with StreamYard the next time you.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do like a
so you
dead
see the
stream.
order we have now. You're the first one in order.
Oh, I can just move
Dragarian.
on the screen. Oh,
Right,
Yeah.
right. There you go.
Okay.
Now do it. Now do it.
Yeah,
It'll work.
now do it. Now focus up.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go. Huh.
There we
Maybe.
All right,
Universal.
everybody.
Who won the picks?
Oh, we didn't do the picture.
Oh,
Wait,
I mean,
they ain't do them. They ain't do them yet.
Hey,
John's
man,
been
John's Portia, get the picks ready. We'll hop over there in about 15 minutes. We're gonna wrap this up here.
All right.
Is there there's no Thursday night game tonight, is there?
No,
No,
to
not
my
that I think
knowledge,
of,
no. No.
Next week is what I was
Yeah,
looking
playoff.
at.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see if they're gonna let Saquon play. But,
No, they already said he's not playing.
I know they said it, but do they mean it?
He should go for the record. Why not? But I would have to look at this art a little bit more to give a better.
That's literally the devil. Look at this guy, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
He has Baphomet. He has Ben.
This might be Ben right here. I don't know.
Is he saying anything about underage children?
Not
That's
that
what I
I've
said.
seen.
Didn't I just say that's Ben? I said that has to be Ben.
A man who traveled across the country to save his wife. Oh, that ain't Ben.
Man, yeah. I mean, this is art from a young person. You know, there's a lot of demonic stuff, a lot of weapons, a lot of
How old is he?
skulls and creatures. I mean, does it tell what's going on in this young person's head? Absolutely.
How old is he?
He, I don't know. If we pull up that family tree again, we might be able to guess.
Well, Grace is the oldest, and she's 22, and he's a little bit younger than her. So I'm assuming he's probably also in his 20s or between. I know he's legally an adult, so he's older than 18, but younger than 22.
I mean, this is, nice stuff, but it's just demonic.
Man, you know what it looks like to me, Garian, and I think you'll agree. It kind of looks like 40K to me.
Hey,
yeah, we gotta do some 40K.
It looks like you know what it does. Hold on, Universe. I'll give you some art. Hold on, give me a bit.
Shit.
Oh, you'll know. Oh, don't worry. Oh, don't you worry. You'll know today. You'll know today.
While we're pulling up the artwork, folks, please come over and subscribe. Thank you to the Urban Landlord, John Galt, Portia, HB Crack, all the good folks, Stanley, all the good folks over there for simulcasting. If folks would be kindly enough to subscribe to my channel, I would highly appreciate that. The Thorps, if you're watching, shout out to y'all. We'll talk to you guys soon. We definitely want some insight on this book and your family history if you're open to talking about it. Anybody else out there watching from my channel, I am back on YouTube. I'm going to be doing the Universal Jones Show. I'm going to have kind of like a radio style show here as we go, and I'll also just be doing some pre-recorded videos as well. And at some point, me and a friend of mine, Lolo, we're going to get our show started. But that's on pause for now because she's a freaking internet sensation and ain't got no time for me. So.
Hey, that'll be cool, man.
What's up?
I think I'm gonna get back onto YouTube. I don't know when.
You need to, man.
Yeah, Black. When are you gonna start making content again? The last time last thing I saw was from your channel like 4 years ago.
And everything I've been making it slowly but surely, and I got some things to say, man. I got some stuff that I think you guys will enjoy. I got some segments I've come up with that I think everybody will enjoy. But you know me, I got 50,000 children, so I've been.
I understand how that is.
Boy, got the whole nest. The whole nest.
Yeah, man. But yeah, right. I think it's time for me to re-enter the arena. So yeah.
All right, Universal. Can you see this artwork?
Yes. I'm gonna pull you up.
Yeah, Google's kind of a bitch when it comes to showing full pictures.
Hold on 1 second, Garian.
Let me try to do something like this. I hope this makes it better.
So it's not that. Yeah, if you can zoom in any, that'd be helpful. So this is 48K.
Yeah, 40K.
40K.
Oh, that just made it worse.
You gotta just click on it wholly. Yeah, click on
it. Yeah, I know it will, but it opens it up in a new tab and it just disappears.
Oh.
And that's the one thing I don't like about it, because it shows you a portion of the clip, but when you click on it, it opens up in a new tab, which you can't share.
So 40K is Space Marines, but Space Marines isn't necessarily 40K. Like a lot of these people, their foray into 40K is Captain Titus. And he's not, one thing you'll learn about 40K if you get into the lore, no one is safe. Everybody can get it. Everybody dies. Everyone. But in the video games, they have kind of given Titus the what you call it, the plot armor feather, and they've allowed him to live longer than everybody else, trying to make him the Space Marine Master Chief of sorts from like Halo. And I get it, but I'd rather, man, once you get into 40K, man, it's such a vast history. It's been around since the 80s. It's so old.
Interesting. All right, gentlemen, we're at the 2-hour mark. I'm going to end up wrapping this one up here in a moment. Crack, any other interesting details? We know that you are kind of our Thorp insider at the moment.
No, nothing. I mean, yeah, you definitely should dive into the Scandinavian mindset, and if blacks want to show up again, he probably could give you some Lutheran stuff too.
Oh,
I think,
all right, I
think that's what Gary doesn't know about the lying part. It's like, I think that's really common, isn't it?
It
feel a lot of guilt. It's a heavy shaming culture, right? So that's where it's coming from.
Yeah, I have no idea about that.
So I will actually do that to open part 2. I'll bring in some of the Scandinavian influence stuff that I'm aware of, or some things that I can just kind of search up quick and see how that shows up. But yeah, you're right. There is a very shame-based culture. We have this thing called Minnesota Nice. And ultimately, it's just minimizing your experience because you don't want to be shamed. So a good example of this is if you ask somebody like, how was your day or how was your New Year? Let's just say they had the worst New Year ever. Like they broke up they got divorced, they got in a car accident, they got beat up. All those things happen. They'll just say, oh, I'm fine. I'm good. We minimize our experiences. So because we don't want to like impede on other people's peace or how their experience is going. It's a very fascinating culture, very passive aggressive as well.
Right.
Oh yeah, Pat. Oh, you hit the nail on the head with passive aggressive for sure. But do you think that there is something to be said about studying to be quiet and to do your own business?
I think that's important. I think you should. I think that people should should do that. Absolutely.
I agree with that. That's why I was asking. I was saying because you have posited they might say something like, oh yeah, instead of going deep into their tragedy or whatever their woes, they'll kind of say everything's okay or they're just fine as they deal with it or toil. And I don't know. I kind of am like that. I like that. I don't like everybody knowing what's going on, but absolutely, man. Yeah. This is good. I like this. I like this.
Good. More content to come, man. I'm trying to figure it all out at this point. I need to get back onto content creation. So,
well, you didn't even get into the healthy family force. You remember like Joy when she showed up, talk about her whoring and things. Yeah, that's another. Once you're done with the Thorps, you got a whole nother universe.
Oh man,
but you gotta pick up where Ava left off. Yeah, you gotta pick up where Ava left off, man.
Who was whoring?
Oh, you missed all that Monday action. Was that Monday? It was Monday, wasn't it?
Was that only Monday?
Yeah, I think everything was on Monday.
God,
everything went down on Monday. The whole interview.
Oh man, you missed out a great show. There was Ben. There was this healthy family force. There was like the period smoking blood.
The period chick.
Yeah, there was like insanity, man.
It was white people Monday on.
Yeah.
That's
we
funny.
brought every daggum crispy,
brought out every
crunchy
troglodyte.
cracker. We brought them
Yeah.
all
Brought
out
out
for
every
you.
troglodyte. Got it.
I don't know why Monday happened, but Monday happened. All
Every
because of
corner of the
Stanley, I
crack-
guess.
Yeah, all because of
Because
Stanley.
Ben
Every
wanted
corner of
Stanley
the
to go on
cracker
the
was
show.
man.
I need a new show co-host. Come on, Stanley.
Please, we need a black guy. I need my Morgan Freeman. John, you can get him on, please, man. We need a Morgan
Yeah, we
Freeman.
need John. Can you come on? No, God, Stanley, can you come on?
They went slumming and recruiting at the same time. It was amazing.
Yeah, he also called Stanley a bitch. That was pretty funny. He was like, "You bitch, you won't come on the show."
I think I missed that part.
We don't get it, man. You're going from 30 viewers to 700. You don't like that? Stanley said, "No, actually, I know. What are you talking about? I don't get it, man." It was
That
funny.
tells little what they know about Stanley. He doesn't give a shit about the views, man.
Yeah,
He's
he
just
don't
doing
give a
it
shit
because he
about the
wants
money.
to.
He's
He
here
do it for the love of the
enjoyment.
Yeah, Ben doesn't understand the love of the game. He doesn't understand that concept.
Yeah, the sheer enjoyment of dystopianism. He likes to cause problems.
Yes, Bob Cherry, White People Monday. It was a fascinating day. Go back to the stream, one of the streams from Monday. I think it was Gone Trucking.
Yeah, it was in the morning. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. But
Yeah,
yeah.
It ended with just me and HB by ourselves, like ending the show, and we were like commenting on the whole thing. It was just like, wow.
Yeah, that was
fascinating.
That whole thing was crazy.
Fascinating times. All right.
All right, folks. I'm gonna get ready to shut this down. Part 2 will be coming up soon. I don't know exactly the date just yet, but I'll get something on. I might show up tomorrow with it. So just stay tuned.
Okay.
Please subscribe, like the video, share it. Trying to grow my channel. And yeah, appreciate you all for being here. Thanks for the folks who hopped up to share their perspective on the book. We are diving into the Thorp Spear. Good luck to me and everybody else who joins me on this quest. Take care.
Take care.
And Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night.
Oh, Happy New Year's to you, Blacks.
Yeah, Happy New Year's.
You as well, guys. Happy New Year.
Happy to the what's today? The second. Today's the second.
Yes,
the second.
Peace, everybody.
Peace.
I forgot. How do you subscribe?
Just on the YouTube channel.
Oh, so do you see the link on the?
I see John's.
Oh my God, it's just such an unbelievable moment.
Brandon, you also told me, as you can hear the chants from the crowd,